You have to be extremely strong mentally to do that show, and I wasn't at the time.
BBC Sounds.
You've also opened up in the past about body dysmorphia. Is this something that you think was highlighted due to fame, as a result of fame, I guess?
It's hard. I mean, this sort of era here is probably where it started beginning, because I was 15, 16-ish, so it was kind of, I don't know what it was like in Australia, but there was this craze of Californian lifestyle clothing companies, you probably know the ones I mean, that sort of swept across the UK, and all of a sudden, in order to be cool and to get friends and also like girlfriends, you needed to look a certain way. So this is like this is the really impressionable sort of phase of my life that I sort of slipped into that. I left school kind of in that weird place, like that sort of like that strive to put as much protein into my body as possible and lose as much fat. And then I started the Vamps, which was a whirlwind from the start in the best possible way, but it consequently meant that I couldn't really keep up this obsession with what I put into my body and the exercise I do. And I think it then sort of snowballed into me not being able to have any control over many elements of my life. So therefore I sort of like fell further into the rabbit hole of I guess starving myself and pushing my body in a variety of different ways. So I think I wouldn't say at all that the Vamps was the reason that I had my eating problems. I definitely had them before. I just think the sort of manic nature of being in a touring band, in many ways it really could have helped me, because I had such a great group of guys. I still have a great group of guys around me that I could have opened up to, but it was also that time before we were encouraged as men to sort of vocalize our feelings. So I just got a bit lost for a few years, and it's a shame really looking back. I look at this thinking like, God, I wish you could just sort of say to him, like, don't beat yourself up so much. Like, if I had spoken about my kind of insecurities at this age, I wouldn't still have eating sort of issues now. So it's funny looking back.
There's also a picture here of you, James, in the jungle. I want to know what that was like for you. Did you enjoy that? Was it harder than you thought? Tell me.
I was really lucky actually, because I'm going to go out there and say I think that we are the group that was in there is the closest group that's ever been in there, because we still, 2 and a bit years on, we still speak like relatively regularly, and I think that's brilliant. Like Nick Knowles, for example, like I'm still really, really good mates with him. I saw him sort of a few months ago, and Harry, obviously every time I go down to Dorset, I try and see him. So like we are genuinely good mates. I think from a psychological aspect, that show was really hard for me. I thought at that point I was pretty robust sort of mentally, and we'd had like a really strong year with the Vamps touring, and I went into that thinking, right, this is gonna be a great way to finish the year, like bring it on, it's gonna be great. And I crumbled within the first 2 days of getting to Australia, because they sort of put you in isolation for 5 days before going in, and I hadn't realized just sort of how kind of fragile I was, and doing that show really revealed the extent of I guess sort of body. I don't really like saying body dysmorphia, because I'm not sure that's true, but people think that's kind of probably what I do have, and I think that show really revealed that, because the picture that you have in this book here, it's kind of, I've just done a bush tucker trial. Actually, it wasn't a bush tucker trial, it was a dingo dollar challenge with Fleur, where we effectively I had to navigate her blindfolded round a course and a cart and whatever, and I got caked in sawdust, and I look like really, really unwell here. I think like just I'm so skinny, and I came out of that show, and I posted this picture actually on Instagram the other day. A lot of my mates text me saying, God, like you look so unwell. But when I came out of that show, I thought, even though I came out of the show the end of 2018, so only 2 years ago, when I thought I was through all of these issues with food, I was really happy with my physique when I came out. And Kirsty was like, James, you look really, really ill. And I sort of like, it unearthed a lot of like unsolved like issues and demons that I had about food. So the show, I'm grateful for the show in that way. I think if you want to do something that really pushes you mentally and physically, then that show is brilliant. I think it's significantly harder than is portrayed on TV. I think people think, oh, it's easy, you just sit there and do nothing. But actually the boredom and the hunger is like insane. And I think only the really like I don't know how, like Nick was brilliant, for example, because he's spent a lot of time on his own in like the Sahara and stuff. People that you have to be extremely strong mentally to do that show, and I wasn't at the time.
BBC Sounds, music, radio, podcasts.